Hey folks, Doug Blake with Body Design University. In this video today, we're going to start out our NASM live lecture sessions, and we're going to begin with chapter 1. So the recommendation is that as you're going through this particular video, it's a good idea to have your NASM textbook with you, have it opened, or if you're doing it online and you want to read through with the materials that we have in the portal, you're more than welcome to do that. But I do also recommend that you have a pen, pencil, and some note paper to take notes. So with that said, we are going to get started. I'm going to share my screen, guys. And here is the deal. When you're doing, let me go ahead and get on here for you. By the way, just so you know, I have the online textbook. So this is just something that NASM provides if you were to purchase their materials outright from them. I don't particularly like, me personally, I don't know about everybody else, but I'm okay with a online textbook, but to be honest with you, I much prefer to have like the textbook in front of me. Now we are starting in chapter 1. So here is the recommendation. Please go to the end of the chapter. I know it sounds sort of counterintuitive, but we have a very specific way that we study the materials to help you pass your NASM exam. So if you go to the back of the chapter, you're going to see the chapter summary. And what I like you to do is to go ahead and read the chapter summary because it is helpful to kind of warm your brain up. And in chapter 1, NASM is going to basically get you acquainted with the fitness industry. And that's the title of the chapter, The Modern State of Health and Fitness. So the role, the trainer in the health industry constantly growing, and they will give you some interesting general information. So it's a good idea to read that. The next component that you're going to read through is the chapter review. Now, just so you all know, we do this for every chapter. So anytime we begin a study, I'm going to recommend read the chapter summary, take you 20, 30 seconds, then go through the chapter review. And the difference between the summary and the review is just the specificity of information. So they're going to basically say in the chapter review now, we're going to talk about the sedentary lifestyles, convenience and focused diets. They're giving you sort of the state of the average person in our country. And it's not that good, is it, right? So alongside other health and wellness practitioners, again, they're getting a little bit more specific. Trainers represent a powerful force for change, yada, yada. Hope that's good with everybody. Read those two. Again, you don't have to take notes on your chapter summary or your chapter review. Does that make sense? Okay. What you do want to do, though, is when you get to the end of the chapter summary and review, you are going to get to this area, okay, at the very end, which is going to give you a list or bullet points that are going to be very helpful to begin your study. And these are called the chapter highlights. Is everybody with me? Give me a thumbs up if you're with me so far. Pretty straightforward. Here's how you do the chapter highlights, and this is why it's a good idea to have your pen and paper. I use a little technique that's going to be helpful from a memorization perspective. When you get to the chapter highlights, NASM, by the way, they did a great job by giving you bullet points. There is a problem, though, with bullet points, is that generally a bullet point is a sentence. How many of you can memorize that entire sentence? Nobody, right? Unless you've got some special, visual skill, you're not memorizing an entire sentence. You all get this? So here's what I would like you to do. For every one of these bullet points, you are going to, I like to kind of use the term crush it down to the minimum number of words necessary to understand the sentence, but without all the words. Does everybody get this? This is what we call, I'm just taking you off. This is what we call the irreducible minimum. It's a concept that is going to be very helpful, and you would have heard me speak about it in the videos. It's called the irreducible minimum. You are basically taking a lot of words, and there's meaning in each of those sentences. Y'all with me? There's meaning in it. However, do you need all of those words to get the meaning of the bullet point? Thank you. Thank you, Clarence. No, you don't. What we're going to do, right, beginning from chapter 1, and it's a little bit more effort up front, is we are going to use what's known as kind of this irreducible minimum technique to take all of those bullet points and squeeze them and crush them down. Your goal, by the way, I'm not saying you're always going to be able to do this, but your goal is to try and get every one of those bullet points down to about 3, maybe 4 words. It's a lot easier to memorize, or at least deal with 3 or 4 words, or even 2 words, than 20 words. If you can get it down to 3 or 4 words, still maintaining the meaning, or at least the core components of the meaning, look what you just did. You just crushed it down to where you can go through an entire chapter list of highlights and memorize them, or at least study them and memorize the material that much easier. Is everybody with me? Yes? So what I want to do with you in chapter 1 first is just kind of show you what I mean when I say the irreducible minimum and crushing down each of these bullet points. Is everybody ready? Yes? Okay. So I'll give you an example of how I do it. You're basically, and I'm not going to do every one of them with you, but I want you to see the methodology. So I go, the focus on scientific principles makes NASM's systems and methodology safe and effective for any client working toward any fitness goal. Now, let's do this. I am going to, who wants to be my test subject guinea pig? Who wants to do this with me? Okay, Dustin, I'm going to ask you to unmute. Unmute. All right, Dustin, I'm gonna share my screen, right?
All right.
I want you, help me out a little bit here. What words in this sentence, watch how I do this. I am looking for words to eliminate from this sentence that I don't need for the meaning. I need certain words to grammatically or syntactically understand what I'm reading, but I don't need all of those words for what? For meaning.
Right.
Does that make sense to everybody? We're reading English, folks, so you have all these different issues of grammar and syntax. However, from a meaningful perspective, I don't need all those words. So, Dustin, help me out. What words can I get rid of in here as I go through this while still maintaining the meaning? Give me some words I can get rid of.
A lot of them. So you can get rid of like focus. You can get rid of on, the word the, makes, systems, and. So I mean, like in short, like I mean, I wrote it down and it's like 5 words. I put NASM method safe and effective for everyone. It's pretty much what it's saying.
Wow, give him a hand. You should probably go through it. It'll take you 2 run-throughs. Get rid of all the thes. Get rid of all the get rid of most adjectives and adverbs. What are adjectives and adverbs? What do adjectives do? Come on, 5th grade English. Come on. What's an adjective? It modifies a noun. The red bus. Everybody with me? Now, think about it, folks. Do I need the word red when I'm trying to summarize a sentence? Maybe, maybe not. What I will tell you is this, that when you're going through this type of material, you probably don't need it. What's an adverb? It modifies a verb. The fast runner. Y'all with me? Is this too simple? I don't care. We're going to go through it anyway because it's really helpful. Dustin, tell everybody again that sentence the way you crushed it down.
Okay. So I'll like just read the main sentence and then I'll put what I put. So it says the focus on scientific principles makes NASM systems and methodologies safe and effective for any client working toward any fitness goal.
Oh
So what
man,
I
that's
put,
way too many words.
yeah. So how I broke it down was NASM methods safe and effective for everyone.
There you go. That's good. That sounds good to me. That's a pretty good summary. Could you keep one word in there or maybe get rid of it? I don't know.
Absolutely. I mean,
But
I could take out methods if I wanted to. I mean, because it's NASM in general.
sure, NASM, safe and effective
The word for.
fitness goals. NASM,
Yeah.
something like that. Like I said, I don't want everybody to get so caught up with only 3 words or only 4 words, because by doing what you just did, you just made life really easy when it comes to understanding and memorizing some of this material. Is everybody with me? What I tried to do with this material is to show you methods to memorize it. Again, this is chapter 1. Probably not going to see a lot of questions from it. I'm pretty sure that you could memorize the idea that if it's NASM's textbook, they're probably going to tell you their stuff is what? Safe and effective, right? Does everybody get this? I'm spending some time. Let me see. Spending some time on here so that you appreciate the technique. Let's try another one. We'll do the second one. Good job, Justin. Thank you. Thank you. How about the second one? NASM recommends that all fitness professionals maintain a focus on an evidence-based practice to attain the highest levels of success. Okay? Would anybody like to give that a shot? Maya? You want to try that one? Okay, go ahead and unmute.
I have for that one is fitness professionals focus on evidence-based practice.
Right, your first run through is like whack. You knocked out half the words, more than half the words. Y'all get that? So when you write that down, you would look at it. Now, my question, Maya, could you remove even more words than that? Perhaps. While still maintaining most of the meaning. Could you?
You could take out on, I guess.
By the way, is everybody with me on this? Yes? Does this make sense? Generally, the problem that most folks have is, well, first off, you never learned this in high school, right? And don't tell me you did, because you know you didn't. You probably didn't even make it to all your classes. Don't tell me you didn't, right? I'm just messing with you. Nobody really teaches this. And so in adult learning, what we try to do is we try to bypass a lot of, the public school rote memorization stuff and try and think of the techniques. And this one appears to be a pretty good technique. That's one problem, is you never learned it. The other problem is that it takes a little bit more effort up front. Y'all can see that, right? Y'all can understand. This requires you to be a little bit more effortful up front. But if you put it up front, I guarantee you, trust me, it's going to be really helpful in the long term, because you're not going to have to keep going back and keep going back to the material. So is everybody with me on this? Yeah? Good job, Maya. So NASM recommends, I don't know if you need the word NASM in there. I don't know if you need fitness professionals. You can substitute probably you need a focus on evidence. I don't even know if you need those words. Success, you can probably remove the highest levels of, and now you got a couple of words. Those couple of words should be enough to give you the main idea. Once you do it, that's it, you're done. You would do that with all of these. Is everybody with me? Does anybody have any question on any of these, by the way? No? This is really important that you understand the methodology. Now, once we do this, then what do we do? Then what do we do? We start at the beginning, right? And what we're going to do is show you that there are these words on the side panels of pretty much every page, okay? So the next step in studying this is now to go and kind of look at all of these. And by the way, we have all of these words are in your Quizlet for the NASM. Does that make sense? What is obesity? A complex disease, right, involving excessive amounts of body fat. You would probably want to, if you don't write it out, at least read it and use the Quizlet. The key here to obesity is this: BMI 30 or greater. Write that down. That is a critical piece of information. Almost a guarantee you will see a question like that on your NASM exam. Not BMR, not basal metabolic rate, BMI, body mass index. Okay, the BMI is just a measure of your height versus your weight. That's what BMI is, body mass index. Your key piece of information to remember is 30. A BMI of 30 or greater is technically or clinically obesity. You with me on this? You don't get to decide that somebody's obese because you think they're, quote, fat. Oh, man, that dude's obese. No. That's a clinical term, believe it or not. Okay? Now, okay, Monica asked 34 or 30. 30 begins level 1 obesity. 30. When you get to 34.9 technically, that's 30 to 34.9. 35 then takes you to the next level of obesity. And then 35 to, I think it's 39.9, gets you to 40, something like that. But in chapter 1, that's not your worry. Monica, you got that? That's not your worry right now. Your big, again, in chapter 1, your main focus is on the numbers that they're giving you, 30 or greater. Yes? Go to the next page. Now you've got 2 words that you should know. Not necessarily saying that you must memorize the term kinesiology. It's just a study of human movement related to anatomy, physiology. This is how I go through the chapter. What is evidence-based practice? You should know this. Evidence and guidelines for decision-making. That's what evidence-based, I think it's self-explanatory, yes? Yeah. By the way, the concept of peer-reviewed research is important. Anytime you see a figure or table, you might want to take a look at it. Not a bad idea to at least look at it, and it's giving you a visualization of information in the chapter. Folks, please do not read I'm telling you not to do it, but do yourself a big favor. Don't read the textbook like a novel. You don't have to read through all the material not to pass the exam. Now, and students tell me this all the time, if you like to read the material, that's entirely up to you. If you want to read it because you like to read it, absolutely go for it. But in order to pass the exam and to understand the materials the way you need to answer the questions, you don't need to read it. It's a lot, right? Key points are so exactly. Monica, if you read her little comment in there. The idea is that we need you to pass the exam, which means you need to know certain material. And you don't need to read all the text to learn the material. Does that make sense? Okay. So any questions so far on any of this? I'm going to wrap it up here in a minute. Evidence-based practice, we're going to go to the next page. And now starts a summary in lesson 1, gives you a nice little summary, right, of the NASM OPT model. Now, again, this is chapter 1. So this is a quick summary. It's one of the reasons why I do recommend you actually go through chapter 1, even though it's a low priority chapter, not like you're going to get a lot of questions from it, but it is giving you information that you're now going to see in more specific, more specificity later on in the textbook. Okay, does everybody know what the musculoskeletal system is? Open it up and look. what a deconditioned individual is. What is overweight? Overweight is a BMI of 25.0 to 29.9. What happens when you cross over from 29.9 to 30? Now what are you? Obese. Muscle imbalances. You're going to see all of these concepts later on in the textbook. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah? Joint stability. This is a concept that you are going to see later on in the textbook. Does that make sense to everybody? So go ahead and review the material. And remember, in your NASM exam study course, your link to the NASM Quizlet has all of those terms. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So folks, I hope this was helpful, right? Today, going through the NASM exam study, we will continue in chapter 1 next week at the same time, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Does that make sense? Okay. Have a great day. We'll talk later.